Hi guys, my name is Tatiana Medintseva and you are on my crochet channel. This is the final part on such a gorgeous lion. In the description under the video you will find links to other parts of this masterclass. There you will also find links to my social networks and the Etsy shop, where you can purchase this masterclass in PDF format in different languages. Subscribe to the channel, I wish you a creative mood, and let's get started. Now we will make the ears for the lion. The ear consists of two parts. First we will make the inner white part, and then we will make the outer brown part. The hook is the same, number 4. We start as usual, loop and 2 chain stitches, and in the first chain stitch we make 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make 1 chain stitch and reverse the crochet direction. Now in the opposite direction we make 6 increases. That is, we make 2 single crochets in each stitch. The first increase, the second increase, the third increase, the fourth increase, the fifth increase, and the last 6th increase. Again we make 1 chain stitch and reverse the crochet direction. Now in this direction we make 12 single crochets. This is the third row. Now we have 12 stitches in a row and we make 1 single crochet in each stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Slip stitch in the next stitch and cut the thread. And cut the thread. We thread the thread into the middle of the lower part of the ear to the other end of the thread. We leave these ends of the thread in this state for now. This is what the inner white part of the ear looks like. We make the second part of the ear brown. In the second part we make 3 rows exactly the same as in the first part, only we don't make a slip stitch at the end and don't cut the thread. We make these 3 rows with brown colors ourselves, just like the white part. I have already made the second brown part of the ear 3 rows. Now we will do the 4th row with brown color. We make 1 chain stitch and reverse the crochet direction. In the 4th row we make 4 single crochets at the beginning of the row. 2, 3, 4. Now we make 4 half double crochets. We make a yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, grab the working thread, make 3 loops on the hook at a time. This is the first half double crochet. I'll show you again. Make a yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, grab the working thread, make 3 loops on the hook at a time. This is the second half double crochet, the third half double crochet, and the fourth half double crochet. 4 single crochets to the end of the 4th row. 1, 2, 3, 4. We turned this part of the ear to this side. I attach the white part of the ear to the brown part of the ear. Now we need to connect these 2 parts together. We connect with single crochets. Insert the hook into the white and brown parts of the ear. We grab the working thread and make single crochets. Make sure that the white and brown parts are always connected evenly and don't move. Always connect the corners of the ear so that everything comes together in the end. We continue to connect the two parts of the ear with single crochets. At the end we make a slip stitch. Cut the brown thread. We thread the end of the brown thread to another brown thread in the middle of the lower part of the ear. Thread the brown thread through the stitches. Tie the ends of the brown thread and the ends of the white thread into a knot. We tie the ends of the thread together into a knot. The excess ends of the thread can be cut. We sew the ends of the thread to the ear with a regular needle and thread. I'll show you on the finished ear. We sew it to the ear so that nothing dangles or gets in the way. We take a regular needle and thread and sew it on. This is the where I insert the needle and sew the threads to the ear along the edge. The ends of the thread will not be visible. Ready? We cut the thread. The second ear is crocheted in exactly the same way and will be sewn to the lion's head. Now I will show you in what position we will sew the ears to the head. Sew at a distance of 3 rows from the eye. If you count from the eye, you get 3 rows to the inner edge of the ear. I start sewing. Insert a needle near the ear. We insert the needle all the way into the ear and sew it to the head. Nothing complicated, everything is as usual. I sew the ears on the bear like this, with the ears pointed forward. A lion's ears point to the side. We sew the back edge of the ear closer to the back of the head, so that the ear points to the side. In this position we sew the ear. We sew the second ear in the same position so that it's directed to the side. I'll show you how I'm sewing on the ear. I'll show you from this side too. Everything works out, I like it. Continue to sew on the ear. I want to show an important point. If you simply sew it on, it won't be very beautiful. The ear will seem to fall forward. Therefore, we raise the ear and sew it 1 row higher. Sew one more time 1 row higher, so that the ear stands vertically. Thanks to this additional action, the ear looks more beautiful. We continue to sew on the ear. The first ear is sewn on. I'll show you again. The front part of the ear is directed forward, and the back part is sewn 2 rows further. Everything is beautiful. To be sure, I will sew on the white side of the ear one more time. That is, one ear is already sewn on, the second ear is sewn on in exactly the same way. The second ear is sewn in the same way on this side. We attach the ear at an angle and sew it with a needle and thread. We finish on our own. This is how I managed to sew the ears to the lion's head. I did everything as I told you. I show you from all sides. This is what the head looks like from above. Now we will make a tail for the lion and sew the tail to the body. I look at the lion and can't get enough of it. For the tail we use the same hook number 4. We make a loop. The yarn is brown. Now 2 chain stitches, and in the first chain stitch we make 5 single crochets. Not 6 single crochets, but 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the second row we make 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn it right side out. We hide the end of the thread inside. Hide the end of the thread inside. This is the kind of beauty we get. Now we need to make 5 single crochets in each row up to the 19th row inclusive. The next row is the third row. We simply do 5 single crochets in each row, up to the 19th row inclusive. There is no need to add filler to the tail. Something went wrong, it needs to be redone. We don't add any filler to the tail, we just make a tail like this. This is such a gorgeous tail. We crochet the tail ourselves, it's simple. This is the tail I managed to make for the lion. We make 19 rows in the tail. We make a slip stitch in the next stitch and cut the thread. Leave the edge long enough to sew the tail to the lion's body. It seems to me that 1 skein of yarn is enough for me. That's how much is left. This is the end of the thread I left for sewing. I sew the tail to the body using a needle with a blunt end. You can also use a regular needle and thread to sew on the tail. In this case, everyone acts as it is convenient, or depending on how much brown thread is left. We sew the tail to the lion's body in this position, at the level of the legs a little higher. Be careful that the tail is sewn exactly in the middle. We sew in a circle, everything as usual. It seems I started sewing too far away. I need to make 1 stitch closer. I think this position would be ideal. It suits me, I continue to sew on the tail. When sewing on the tail, always make sure that the tail is in the middle. The tail will be sewn higher or lower, this is to everyone's taste. But the main thing is that in the middle it is symmetrical to the legs. I sew the tail at this level compared to the lion's legs. The tail is practically sewn on, little left to do. After the tail is sewn on, tie a knot. I thread the thread through the stitches several times and tie a knot. Hide the end of the thread inside. I pull the thread in one direction, then insert the needle into the same stitch and pull the thread in the other direction. At this stage we cut the thread. This is how I managed to sew on the tail. I show you from all sides. Now let me show you how to design the bridge of the nose on the lion's muzzle. We take our main yarn, brown, insert the thread into a needle with the blunt end. We have already sewn all the details to the lion. We just have to finish the design of the lion, the bridge of the nose, tightening some paws, mane and tail. The thread is inserted into the needle, cut the required length of thread. I cut a fairly long piece of thread. We insert a needle from the side of the head under the ear. You need to pull the needle under the eye at the junction of the muzzle and head, between white and brown. This will be great here. We pull the thread almost completely and leave a small end of the thread on the side. We lay a thread along the bridge of the lion's nose and then insert a needle under the second eye. We thread the thread inside the muzzle and again pull the needle near the first eye, but this time a little higher. There is no need to tighten the thread too much. We hide the white part of the muzzle so that it's not visible. We repeat the operation several times to completely hide the white muzzle under the brown yarn. You can see that the white part of the muzzle under the bridge of the nose is completely invisible at the edge. I will thread the brown thread again in this place and then move toward the nose. We continue to pull the brown thread along the bridge of the nose and move toward the lion's nose. We thread the brown yarn back and forth along the bridge of the lion's nose. I put the lion on the table to make it easier to make the bridge of the nose. There is no need to tighten the yarn too much. We can say that the thread seems to lie on the bridge of the nose. We are almost done. I managed to pull the thread 10 times. You can see that I'm running out of thread, but overall I'm already finished. When the bridge of the nose is ready, we thread the needle and thread to the very beginning to the first end of the thread. The thread must be pulled into the same stitch. The two ends of the thread should be in the same stitch. We tie the ends of the thread into a knot. After the knot is tied, we hide the end of the thread inside the head. We pull the end of the thread with the crochet hook into the same stitch. Thanks to this, they will be completely hidden inside and nothing unnecessary will be visible. Everything worked out great, I like, beauty. If necessary, we correct it so that everything is nice and even. Gorgeous line, the bridge of the nose turned out great. Everything is done very simply, but the result is magnificent. Now we need to make the tightenings of the lion's paws. I make the tightenings on the paws with the same yarn from which I will make the mane. Yarn, Yarnart Jeans Plus. Cut the required lengths of thread. We insert the thread into the needle, but don't tie a knot at the end of the thread. I insert a needle from the underside of the paw. We pull the needle in the place where we want the toe to be. I do 3 tightenings on the legs and arms of the lion. I like it so much, it turns out beautiful. Pull out the thread almost completely, but leave a small end at the bottom. Reinsert the needle at the bottom of the leg. The thread is on the outside. At the top of the leg, be sure to pull the needle into the same stitch. Align the position of the thread on the outside. Tighten the thread well, thus making the first tightening, that is, the first finger. I pull the thread through each finger 3 times in total. Each time we tighten the thread to the desired tension. After the thread is pulled 3 times in one place, I straight the thread to the central tightening. You can see how beautiful it is. Now we make the central tightening. We pull the thread from the outside and insert a needle at the bottom of the paw in the middle. Tighten the thread well and hold the tightening so that it doesn't loosen. We repeat the operation the second time. At this stage, the tightening is already holding well. The third time I don't tighten the thread too much, so that it can't be seen from the outside. We pull the thread to the third tightening. Make sure that the tightenings are made at the same distance. Pull the thread through the outside again and insert a needle at the bottom of the paw. The first and second times we tighten the thread well, so that the tightening holds its shape. The third time we don't tighten the thread too much, so that it's clearly visible. This is such beauty. Now we need to pull the thread to the very beginning, into the same stitch that we went into at the beginning. We tie the ends of the thread into a knot. The knot is tied. We cut off the ends of the thread. Using a hook, we hide the ends of the thread inside the leg. This will be normal. It turned out perfect. View from below, and this is what a lion's paw looks like from above. In the same way, we make tightenings on the second leg of the lion. On the lion's arms, the tightenings are made like this. The principle is the same, but the tightenings are shorter. By the way, this is how much yarn is left from the skein. I won't need this yarn anymore. The line has been already crocheted. Next we will use only yarn for the mane and tail, Yarn Art Jeans Plus. In the end, I only needed one skein for this line, but I still say, just in case, that the yarn consumption is 1.5 skeins. Due to the different densities of crochet, one skein may not be enough for someone. I have already completely designed the arms and legs of my lion. All we have to do is make the mane and tail. The main secret of such a beautiful mane is that the mane is thick. If I move the threads apart, the head is practically invisible. The threads are put into almost every stitch. The more often the better. This is the main secret of a beautiful mane. It takes a lot of time to achieve such a thick mane, but it is worth it. The more often the threads are tied, the better the mane and the line as a whole will look. My lion's mane starts at the front, 3 rows from the eye. The mane is completely done here. The mane is made up to the arms at the bottom of the head. Mane is also made near the ear from all sides. At the bottom of the head, the mane is made to the very bottom of the head. On the tail, the characteristic tassel is done in exactly the same way. The more often the threads are pulled, the better. Now I'll show you how we make the mane and tail. My main advice to you is to take the time to do this. Make it as thick as possible, and thanks to this you will get a very beautiful line. Now I will measure and show you what length of thread I am preparing for the mane. To prepare the threads for the mane, I do this. We wrap the thread around our fingers. For me, the required length of thread is achieved when I wrap it around 3 fingers. We wrap the thread around our fingers 15–20 times. You can probably wrap it more times. We take scissors. We insert the scissors and cut the wound thread along the upper finger. The resultant pieces of thread are this length. For the mane and tail, I make threads of the same length. You can try this length or choose your own thread length. The length of my threads for the mane and tail is the same and is 10–11 centimeters. For me, this length is ideal. At the next stage, we are already starting to create the mane. Take one thread and a hook. I'll show you this stitch as an example. Insert the hook into the stitch. Grab the thread with your hook and pull one end of the thread through the stitch. Align the ends of the thread. And now we just tie a knot, one time and the second time. The beginning of the mane is done. In this way we will completely make the mane over the entire head. We grabbed a new thread again, aligned the ends of the thread and tied a knot. The characteristic tassel at the end of the lion's tail is made in the same way. This is your own work. I showed you the principle, let's finish making the mane and tail ourselves. We just take it and do it. In this way we will need to make a complete mane all over the head and on the tail. And then you will get a line like this with a gorgeous and thick mane. Very cool line. Therefore, Now I wish you success and patience in this difficult work. May you get the most beautiful lion. I will do the same now and show you the result. The result is such a gorgeous mane and such a gorgeous lion. If you like this masterclass, I expect feedback from you, likes, comments. I will be glad to read them. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I wish you all the best and bye-bye.